Hey guys, this is Chris Clothier here, bringing you another episode of the Grind Podcast, coming live from Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you so much to. I always want to start every one of these episodes off with just a thank you to everyone out there who interacts with us on social media, interacts with us by sending us emails or comments. If you haven't already subscribed to the Grind, do that today. It comes with a full newsletter. We send a newsletter out every Tuesday that's got data and facts that we are looking at, things that we find very important to our businesses. Sometimes there are articles in there that we just straight find interesting and we want to share with all of our viewers and listeners and readers. And then there's also every 2 weeks an executive letter comes out from Kent Sr. I want to say higher level, but what I mean by that is more it's deeper. It's just more of very personal insights coming from him after 50 plus years in business. Great newsletter out there, and just our way of being able to give back and kind of share a little bit about our backgrounds and histories and our thoughts. And then, of course, the Grind. This is my chance to talk about the things I want to talk about. And so for those of you that have stuck with us and find it interesting and interact with us, I just want to say thanks. I appreciate it. Look, this week we're talking about something that the reason it's important and the reason why, I know I say that like every single week, we're talking about something that's important, but this week we're talking about mentors. We're talking about education. We're talking about, what we're doing as entrepreneurs, what we do even as real estate investors, because believe me, every real estate investor out there needs a mentor. What my personal feelings are about it, what I think you should spend your money on, what you shouldn't, some tips and tricks that we found through the years, and even a couple of personal stories from me about mentorship and really what it means and kind of some of my own personal experiences with it. And I'll start with this. I know that I do know that a lot of our listeners probably have heard of Bigger Pockets before. This is it's probably the world's leading real estate website. For years, going back to when Bigger Pockets first started, I had a close relationship with the founder there, and he and I, every once in a while we would jump on the call. It might be at 9:00 at night, and he's sitting on the couch with his wife, and I'm sitting on the couch with mine, and we're talking business. We're I'm growing a company, he's growing a company, and he and I were very close, and this was a very good relationship that I had. I wouldn't necessarily go call it a mentorship, but here's the point of the story. Josh was he was very anti-guru. And that was a buzzword that got attached to anybody that wanted to give advice, anybody that wanted to get paid for their time, anybody that wanted to get paid to be able to share their knowledge. They were dubbed a guru and somebody that was selling rather than doing. That was the common phrase. If you had to sell what you did to other people, or selling what you do is what you do when you can't do it anymore. If that makes sense, that's a lot of use of the word "do" there. Meaning those that can't actually invest in real estate, they sell products about how to invest in real estate. And that's just it's such a bad rap, but that's, that site Bigger Pockets, and Josh's personal feelings about this were he was just really anti the education side of it. He wanted to be able to make as much as he could free. And I bring that up because I want people to understand that when we talk about mentorship, me especially, and we talk about education, that doesn't always mean something that you pay for. Finding a good mentor and finding education, you can pay for it, and it may be worth every single penny you get from it. And there may be things that you get for free that are just as valuable, not because they were free, but because of what you're able to do with it, the information that you receive. The thing I hated about that argument about being anti-guru and anti-education and anti-mentors and all this kind of stuff is that one of the easiest ways to find success, in my opinion, and certainly in my experience, is to find somebody who's done what you want to do and model them. I didn't say copy them. I didn't say steal from them, although, there's a great book. I can't think of the name of the book right here. I knew I would do something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about stealing from others. And the simple fact, and it was a play on words, simple fact that modeling and mirroring what other people do is one of the fastest ways to success because, we talk about it here all the time with us. It's why we have this podcast. It's why we do what we do and we allow investors to come in. It's why we have mentored so many turnkey companies out there, is that there's no real secret to being successful in business. There's a secret to why Kentucky Fried Chicken tastes so good. They got their secret recipe, right? And they're not going to share their secret recipe, but there's no secret to how a restaurant runs well. There's no secret to how an organization organizes itself to be successful. So, when we're sitting here and we're talking about, excuse me, when we're sitting here talking about mentorship and education, and I wanted to be real clear that I'm not for or against paying for anything. I am, in fact, I guess the better way to put it is I'm for all of it. I'm absolutely 100% for paid education and pay whatever price it is. I'm all for getting as much free information as you can from sites like BiggerPockets and having mentorships that don't cost you a dime. I'm all for all of that as long as you apply everything. And I talk often about what investors are willing to pay, because I know there's real estate programs out there that in some cases cost up to like $100,000 to learn how to, build a real estate business, residential, commercial, building, fixing, flipping, holding, managing, all these different facets to a real estate business. And people are willing to teach you how to do all this. And the sums of money get massive. And the reality of it is this: an argument is often made that you can get all of this same information for free. And I don't know if that's true or not true. I don't know, because I haven't paid $100,000 to learn what somebody's going to teach me. But I have paid for mentorships and I have paid for education in the past. I've shared my story that Carlton Sheets, I bought his program. I paid for that. And I got a tip out of it that I applied that helped me find success as a real estate investor. It may have only been one tip. It didn't matter. The simple fact that I even did one deal more than paid for what I paid for his course, but I did hundreds personally and thousands as a company from that point. So you can spend $100,000 on real estate education all day long. What matters is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to apply? Are you going to put the effort and the work in to make it happen? The same thing goes with mentorship. My dad, Kent Sr., he had very early on the real estate side, he had a gentleman that came to him and wanted to learn from him, wanted to be mentored by him. All the guy wanted to do was sit in the right seat of the car during the day with my dad, to see the houses he would see, to understand what he was thinking, to listen to his phone calls and who he's talking to just be a part of his day, absorb. The guy knew that by getting around him, he could learn from him. And I don't remember exactly what the check was, but it was a pretty big check this guy was willing to write for, 4 or 5 days to be able to ride in the car and learn from my dad. As the story goes, they would become partners on some things. I don't know that my dad ever cashed his checks. I really don't recall. They would become partners on a few deals. They became partners on a couple of businesses. That gentleman today is one of the best investors you're ever going to meet. He is he is a smart investor. He is diversified throughout the Mid-South in all kinds of different asset classes today. Just really owns multiple different businesses. Just, smart guy. And, none of us would ever say, my dad wouldn't say, and I wouldn't say that he's why, but the guy was smart enough to say, I need to surround myself with people who are achieving what I want to achieve, and I need to absorb and learn. And he was willing to pay for it. At the same time, there are people who have come back and told our family that although there was never any formal mentorship, and certainly never paid any money to you guys, I have followed you closely. I've watched what you do. I have paid attention. I've listened. I have been to your offices. I've learned about, what you do, how you operate, and you have mentored me to my own success, to my building a company, to my building out my portfolio. I can't tell you the number of times people come back to us and say, man, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have the success I'm having here today. And it's mind blowing how many people have had that reaction. I think about myself, my own personal story. I have a charity that I started almost 5 years ago. And, there's a guy out there. He's well-known, great businessman. He's started multiple businesses, sold them for 9 figures. So this is a guy that's built and sold multiple 9-figure businesses. He's a family man. He's an endurance athlete. And he's in several, he practices several different things. He's written books. He's given speeches. He's built businesses. He's done all kinds of different things. Those of you that know anything about me, you know that this fits right into me. I mean, I like to think of myself on some level as many of those things too. I haven't built and sold a 9-figure business. I've built a 9-figure business with my family. I haven't sold one or anything along those lines. But my point with this is that he is my mentor. And when I got the chance, I had him out I put on a big race. My wife and I put on a big ultra marathon race with hundreds and hundreds of runners here in Memphis, Tennessee. In fact, we've got the next iteration coming up very soon. And so as we're getting ready for this, I've been thinking a lot here lately about my relationship to this guy. And I've told him on more than one occasion that he has been my mentor, even though he never knew it. He didn't know he was mentoring me, but I was always paying attention to what he was saying. I was always paying attention to the way he conducted himself. I was modeling many of the things, and I continue to this day, and will continue going forward. He's not a lot older than me, so he's somebody that I can look to and say he has achieved on multiple different levels what I want to achieve. And my respect for him is such that I want to model him. Now, the flip side of that is he's not always available to me. A few times I've sent him messages and we reached out to him. We tried to connect back and forth, and we are, he and I are acquaintances, but sometimes I don't hear back. I can't get an answer back, and he's busy. I don't in any way, shape, or form take offense to that. I received, I don't know, I think it was like 9 months ago, I received this unsolicited 3-ring binder as a bank book in the mail. And I had talked about it at a recent event. And this guy took my speech and my talk about a bank book and he made his own. And he sent it to me and wanted me to review it for him. And he wanted an hour of my time, which is perfectly fine. But the issue is that he's reaching out to me at a time when I had a lot going on in all of areas of my businesses and my family life. And so I was not able to just pick the phone up and say, yeah, sure, lay it on me. I'll review all, your business plan. I'll review your bank book. I'll review whatever you need. And it got back to me not too long after that I wasn't a very good person or businessman because I didn't respond and I didn't take care of this. And I didn't do what this guy had asked me to do. And so I want to caution everybody out there with this, and this is the reason why I tell that, is that if you're going to be mentored by somebody, follow the path that the gentleman did with my dad. Offer to pay for their time. Make it worth their time. Not all mentors are going to take it, but you have to understand that every one of us has one gift that we all share. All of us. Listening, me doing it here, Isabel on the other side of the table, we all have the exact same gift, and it's time. We all have that gift, and it is really one of the few assets that we all have in common. When you want somebody to give up their time and you're not willing to compensate them, you're not willing to return the favor to them, do something in return for that time, you're missing the big picture. Because when you want a mentor's time, what you're asking is, let me get your time now to increase my knowledge to make my own time worth more in the future. I want to make sure everybody understands that. You all of us have the exact same amount of time every single day, although not that your time is worth less. Some people can make more with their time. I know that the gentleman that I am mentored by, just by watching him, I know that his time is more valuable than mine because he can make more with his time than I can today. When I first met with him, I will never forget, I made an offer to him that was so good, it really startled him. It got me, not only time to be able to meet with him and be able to pick his brain a little bit, but at his own personal house and out on we went out on a run together because I showed him how much I valued him and his time. And to this day, if he called me up and said, let's do something together, I would in a heartbeat pay whatever price I needed to pay for his time because that's how much it's worth. If you need to understand that if you want your time to be worth more in the future, you have to model and mirror people whose time is worth more today. Make sense? And so can you back to the very beginning part of this whole podcast, when we're talking about education and what you pay for, and we're talking about mentorship and what you pay for, can you get ahead in life for free? Can you learn everything you need to learn for free on the web, on sites like BiggerPockets, doing what I've done, mirroring and modeling even the mentors that don't know they're mentoring you? Absolutely. But if you really want to take the next step and you're willing to commit, because you're only going to get out what you're willing to put in, then education and mentorship, whatever the price. The only person that can determine if it's worth it is you. Are you going to implement? Are you going to commit? Are you going to value the education you're getting or the time of the mentor that you're receiving so high that you're willing to really put a risk out there? You're willing to make an offer that blows them away, if that makes sense. My answer to all this, guys, is yes. I think that everybody listening to this podcast should have a mentor. You should have a mentor that you meet with. You should have a mentor that you're following that has no idea they're mentoring you. If you're in an industry or starting something where education and you need to be more educated, every dollar you spend, if it helps you make more dollars in the future, if you can apply and implement, you should be spending it. I mean, every investment you can make in yourself only makes your time worth more in the future. I hope today's podcast helped. I know that a lot of our listeners, this is the kind of stuff they want to hear. This is what they want to know about. And I can just simply tell you that it's worth it. Everything you're willing to invest in yourself, it's worth it. Guys, until we meet again, thank you so much for joining us here at the Grind Podcast. Don't forget to like the podcast. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Share the newsletter, share Kent Sr.'s executive letter. We appreciate all the interactions we get from you guys. And until we get a chance to talk again, guys, commit to the grind, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.